Get a £5 free bet every week with Offer Club from William Hill. Simply stake a total of £20 or more across the week on pre-match football accumulators with 4 or more selections, and you'll get a £5 free bet on the Friday. Join William Hill Offer Club on mobile or online now.
Home base. So we wanted to, even though Brook's not here, he's in the middle of the training camp, we wanted to make sure that we could bring Gennady down to say a few words, and Abel will be here, and Tony Walker also from HBO. So I just kind of wanted to set the scene, and he should be walking in here. In fact, I see Abel coming in now, so we'll wait for them to sit down, and then we can actually start. And we'll have kind of a question and answer session, and then we can do the video interviews once we're done. Right, so we have many people involved in the promotion here. Is Trainer of the Year Abel Sanchez. He has the world famous Summit High Altitude Training Center in Big Bear Lake, California. As I mentioned, Tony Walker is representing HBO today, and naturally the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, GENNADY G Golovkin, with 22 KOs in a row, highest knockout percentage in middleweight boxing history. So, as I just alluded to, you know, it's strange how this whole promotion came about. As Abel well knows, I was calling him almost on a daily basis. What about this guy? What about that guy? You know, naturally, Canelo was clearly the first priority for the next fight. After we were all up there for for his fight, and he called Gennady in the ring, I thought, it looks like this has a pretty good chance of happening. And then he went down to junior middleweight and is fighting a week later, September 17th, in Cowboy Stadium. So then, after Canelo wasn't a possibility, thought to fulfill Gennady's dream of unifying the division, made a big offer to Billy Joe Saunders, even to go to the UK to fight him, because Gennady has always said, and Abel said, it doesn't matter who it is or where it is, it's my job to get the fighter in the ring. And so he was willing to go to the UK for Billy Joe Saunders. That didn't work out. That didn't go very far as the contract negotiations. Then we approached, actually, Eddie Hearn had heard that I was talking to Frank Warren about the Saunders fight. So then he had proposed Eubank Jr. Eubank Jr. had a fight. He called out Gennady, said, okay, this looks good. Looks like he wants to fight. After we were getting, you know, Eddie Hearn was very positive that the fight was going to happen. As it kept dragging on and on, it was coming on about a month. And I told Eddie, we have to sign the deal, otherwise we have to bring Gennady, we have the HBO date, otherwise we have to bring Gennady over here to the United States. And so he put a deadline with the Eubank side. That didn't, the contract didn't get signed. They blew through the deadline. You know, I don't have to get into all the exact details, but Eddie was the one trying to get his own fighter to sign the contract, and they couldn't deliver that fight. So then he said, let me see if Kell Brook would take the fight. 2 hours later, he calls me back, talked to Kell Brook, talked to his trainer, said Kell will take the fight. He felt left out when they were negotiating originally the fight with Amir Khan, and Amir got the fight with Pacquiao, so Kell Brook felt left out of that. They couldn't close the deal with the Jesse Vargas fight, and so Kell wanted a big fight, and he was having a hard time getting the best welterweights to fight him, and that's how this whole fight came about. When we announced it, it was just it got announced first on Sky over in the UK, and kind of sent like shockwaves to the boxing industry. 2 undefeated fighters fighting against each other. The undefeated welterweight champion against undefeated middleweight champion in Gennady. And I tell you, we have to give Eddie Hearn and Kell Brook a lot of credit. Kell showed a lot more heart than a lot of middleweights and super middleweights, for that matter. For a lot of people that question, why doesn't Gennady move up? You know, if there was a big fight at 168, he would have taken that fight already. So that gives a little background of how the fight came about. Maybe before we get into talking about it, I'd like to introduce a special guest here, who's standing right by here. He's a world-famous, renowned sports artist, Stephen Holland. And Stephen was at Gennady's last fight at the Forum, and he did some amazing paintings of Ali, and just, you know, the list goes down on and on. So I'd like to, he wants to present an original painting for Gennady. Jay, if you want to unveil it. So that's his painting for Gennady. I want to Stephen say a few words.
Please scare me. Can you hear?
Yeah.
This was a no-brainer. I mean, I love Gennady's style. I love the way he fights. I think he's tough as nails. It just was just a no-brainer. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. With that, I'd like to, you know, this show, September 10th, it's actually two shows. Two shows rolled into one. We got to get very creative. This is the fourth time that the two best pound-for-pound fighters in the world will be fighting on the same HBO telecast. Each time it gets a little bit more challenging how we can make it work, because obviously as Roman Gonzalez's profile increases, naturally his compensation is going to increase. And I was really pushing Peter Nelson hard after he looked spectacular in 3 title defenses as a co-feature for Gennady's fights, that Roman deserved his own HBO date to headline his own HBO show here in the United States. And so when everything fell into place with the Kell Brook fight, we came up with a solution of doing a split-site deal where Chocolatito is going to headline at the Forum September 10th. We have a tremendous co-feature fight with Kamagai versus Soto Cross. One of the best fights of the year so far. It was a draw, split decision draw, which a lot of the fans want to see again. So we were able to work that out with Mr. Honda and Golden Boy to be the co-feature. It's always my philosophy to try to provide the best entertainment and the best fights possible for the fans. Even if a particular fighter isn't involved with K2, I still want to make sure fans get the best entertainment. And it couldn't have been a better combination with Kamagai Soto Cross as the co-feature. And now you have something that we haven't seen, at least the HBO viewers haven't seen yet, where Chocolatito is actually the challenger. He's moving up to his 4th weight division. He's fighting undefeated Carlos Cuadras to the 115-pound division. He doesn't need any tune-up fights to move up. He's going directly towards the undefeated champion to his 4th division. And he's 45-0 right now. And if he wins September 10th, he'll be successful in his 4th division. If Cuadras is able to make his defense against arguably his toughest challenger that he could have picked out, you know, that's a huge statement, and it elevates Cuadras to the top of all the pound-for-pound ratings. So you have 2 undefeated champions at the Forum. Naturally, you have 2 undefeated champions fighting in London, and it'll be live. Tony Walker can give you all the details, but it'll be live at 2:30 here, LA time, and then it'll be rebroadcast. I think the telecast starts 7 o'clock LA time, 10 p.m. East Coast time with Soto Cross and Kamagai. Then it goes to Chocolatito, and then they'll show the replay of the Triple G Brook fight. So it's a tremendous I was just talking to Tony earlier today. It's probably the best HBO show as a triple header that we've seen for years. I personally can't remember a show with that much talent on it. You know, 4 undefeated champions, and then the rematch with Kamagai and Soto Cross is truly spectacular. We have both banners up. We have the Chocolatito banner over here. You know, we're going to have, on Thursday, we're going to have an open workout for Quadras and Soto Cross at the Maywood Gym. And then next Tuesday, we're going to have the open workout up at Abel's place at the Summit with Gennady and Chocolatito. So to say words on behalf of HBO, I mean, we can't put this type of an event with these many quality fighters and champions on it without the help of HBO. So special thanks to Peter Nelson, and on behalf of HBO, always integral, and a close friend of ours, Tony Walker.
And thanks everybody for coming down. It was a nice lunch, so we really appreciate that. We are very fortunate to be able to work with Tom. He's right. This was not easy to do, to assemble this much talent, put it together all in one night. And it will be one of the best nights, I think, in HBO World Championship Boxing history. We're pleased to be able to continue to work with Triple G. In a very short time, he has become one of the great fighters of our generation, not just because of his skill in the ring, which is undeniable, but because of his personality and the way he welcomes fans and is willing to talk to the media and popularize the sport. We're very fortunate that he's one of the faces of boxing, and we look to continue that association. So the fight against Kell Brook is really interesting. Kell Brook is not that well known in the U.S., but boxing fans know who he is, and we expect a tremendous show in the ring as Kell tries to make a name for himself. He's a young guy, wants to go on to bigger and better things. So what greater thing can he do than defeat what some people consider the best fighter in the world? So that show, as Tom said, will be on at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Pacific live. Then we go to 7 o'clock at night. And I gotta say that we in Los Angeles are spoiled. We get to see these great fights, great matchup, warriors in the ring over and over again. I don't know how long this can last, but we're a very fortunate group of boxing fans here. That fight will be start at 7 o'clock with the Kamichi Soto Cross fight, and then we'll go to Chocolatito show, and then the replay of Triple G. So it's a great night for us. It's World Championship Boxing, not pay-per-view, and we're very happy to be here, and we'll see you guys all on September 10th. Thanks.
Thank you, Tony. There's somewhat of a logjam of pay-per-view fights this fall, so I think the fans are going to appreciate, you know, September 10th when they get to see so many top quality fighters on regular HBO. We're working out the logistics, but what we like to do, we're kind of, we started a tradition at the Forum where we open the terrace at the Forum because of the demand for Triple G fights for the tailgate parties. So we open the terrace early, and we want to open it at 2 o'clock, and so the fans that come early will be able to watch his fight live on the terrace from London, and then the doors will open at 4:30 at the Forum. So that's an extra treat for the fans that come down early to the Forum. So with that, I'd like to say the professor and the mad scientist behind Gennady's style. I mean, he definitely admits that Gennady has always hit hard, but you'll see the reason why Gennady's become such a fan favorite is because Abel just always instills in him that, you know, the fans watching HBO, the fans paying money for tickets, they want to be entertained, and there's nothing more entertaining for a boxing fan than seeing a knockout. So that's really what Abel stresses to Gennady. He develops his style that way. He's really developed it after the great Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. And I don't think anyone today can cut off a ring better than Gennady Golovkin. It doesn't matter which style he's fighting. It doesn't matter if he's southpaw, right-handed, tall, short. Gennady figures out a way to cut off the ring and to be able to to deliver his punches. So the last 22 opponents in a row have not been able to go the distance, and I think with Abel's strategy, that'll continue for a long time. So with that, I want to introduce Dr. Abel Sanchez.
Yes, it's been quite a ride. These press conferences keep getting bigger and bigger. It's nice to see. Thank you for the support. I hope to see all these smiling faces at my gym on the 23rd, the open workout. But we look forward to a tough fight with Kell. Kell is, I faced him once before with Carson Jones about 4 years ago. He was obviously a much greener fighter. Today he's a much better fighter. But we're happy that somebody's taking the challenge. It doesn't seem like any middleweight out there wants to sign on the dotted line. But the important thing for us is to keep Gennady busy. Hopefully we fight 3 times this year, and this date was very important to us as a team to make sure that we had the opportunity to fight the 3rd time. So I look forward, like I said, to a tough fight and to a challenge that is all of Kell Brook. I want Kell to make sure that he gives his fans the kind of show that Gennady gives his fans. And if they do, we're going to have a hell of a fight. Thank you for coming.
As Abel alluded to, on paper it looks like a welterweight fighting a middleweight, but we just had the WBC 30-day weigh-in, and Kell Brook actually weighed 11 pounds more than Gennady. You can see Gennady always walks around close to his fighting weight. He came in at 165 pounds. Kell Brook came in at the limit at 176 pounds. And Eddie said the whole time, he's a big welterweight. I don't know how he gets down to 147, and losing, now he's got to lose 16 pounds to make 160. But you saw in the photos with him on the scale, it's not like he had a big gut or was out of shape. He was trim, and he was weighing a solid 176 pounds. So we know, Kell, this is the biggest fight of Kell's career. It's the biggest fight of Gennady's career. When you can sell out the O2 Arena like they did in one day when it went on the public sale, the fan reaction is tremendous. We've always had, since we were talking about going over to the UK to fight Carl Froch, the UK fans wanted to see him over there. And honestly, I have to say, Kell is the one that stepped up, and he's allowed us to make this fight in the UK. I want to recognize Pepe Suleiman, who's here representing the WBC. Oh, there's Pepe. And it's Gennady has multiple titles. Chocolatito is fighting for the WBC 115-pound title. So we'd like to recognize WBC's involvement in this show. And with that, there's really not much more to say. I want to have Gennady say a few words, and we can open it up to question and answers. So I'd like to introduce the hardest hitting man on the planet, Gennady Triple G Golovkin.
Thank you very much. Good to see you again. Today I'm very happy. I saw so many beautiful people, my friends. I like boxing. I like the sport. I like boxing. Thanks for support. Thanks my team. Thanks HBO, Sky TV, and of course media. For me, it's very important because I'm 34 years old. I have just a couple years. It's very important because I have a small dream. My goal is all the belts in the middleweight division. Maybe I'm very close to my dream. Thank you for your support. Thank you.
I'd like to just emphasize, even though the show in London is sold out, we have tickets available for the forum for Chocolatito. Unlike some fights were announced, but you can't buy tickets to, this fight you can actually go down the street here to the forum and buy tickets to see Chocolatito, to see Quadras, to see Kamagai, and Soto Caras. So tickets are selling well, but it's our goal to make a big splash for Chocolatito, headlining his first forum show. So we need everyone's support from the media and the fans to make sure it's a success, so we can continue to bring these type of fights back to the LA area. With that, I want to open up for question and answers, and we'd be happy to explain any questions you have. Francisco?
Gennady, good to see you again. Were you surprised when the 30-day weigh-in, were you surprised that Kell Brook weighed 176 pounds? And Abel could answer this also.
I'm not surprised. It's not a big surprise for me because I saw him. He is not a small guy. He's like, the shoulder. He looks big. Not surprised. No. I think he's understand right now. Weight, especially the middleweight division. He understands it's a serious fight for us, not just for him, for me, easy, it's serious.
When I fought him 4 years ago, he was a young guy, and he was having a difficult time making weight. Unfortunately, in this business, things get out of training camps, and I heard that for 3 or 4 days he was thrown up trying to make weight for the Carson fight. So that was 4 years ago, and I imagine he's grown, he's matured, his body's matured. So I knew that he was going to have a hard time making 47. I wondered often before this fight how long he would keep the welterweight title. And hearing the weight just reaffirms. Not only that, when we saw him in London, damn, he's huge. He looked like a bodybuilder. His arms were huge. He was packed. So surprised, yes, but not really surprised.
Damien over here. Just raise your hand.
How surprised were you when Brooks brought up that
Yeah, a little bit surprised. I'm not gonna say I wasn't, but we had gone through so many names. In fact, back when the Rosado fight happened, we met with HBO, and Tom presented me with 20 names in the 54 and 60-pound division, and not a name that I turned down. Brook wasn't in it, but Brook being a champion and wanted to challenge himself, as Shane did to fight Oscar, as Peter did to fight Hopkins, guys like that. He's having a hard time like we are, being an opponent, so it's a natural.
Back, please.
Hi, this would be for Abel and also Gennady. Some people like recently, because you've had problems getting like Kell Brook, that's a real challenge. That's a very good opponent. But you've had problems at this weight class. Some people have been critical about you not going up in weight. What do you have to say to that? Like both of you.
Well, first of all, I think that's a question for Tom, but from what we know, there's been offers and there's been promoters that have stated that their fighters want to fight Golovkin, but the unfortunate thing is that's all they say. I saw a T-shirt not too long ago that had a picture of Canelo on it, and it had, I want to fight GGG, and underneath it said, just not next. And it seems like all of them are like that. I would hope that after this fight's over, if we're successful, that they come out of the woodwork and they call Tom before Tom settles another fight. They call Tom so while there's still a chance that a fight can be signed, instead of waiting like DJ did and like Danny did. Once the fight is signed, it's kind of difficult to go back on a word.
Tom, you want to talk?
I mean, we get the question a lot, why don't you fight a 168-pounder? But we tried to make the fight with Chavez Jr. Just over 2 years ago now with Bob. You know, he was doing all he could to try to entice Chavez Jr. to get in the ring with Gennady, because he knew that would be a huge fight. It'd be a great fan favorite fight, and it'd be a successful pay-per-view fight. For whatever reason, internally, they couldn't get the deal worked out. Then I was talking to Eddie about fighting Carl Froch, you know, going to the UK, fighting over there. Carl, after posting pictures of saying he was too big and too strong for Gennady, then he decided to retire. So you can't force these guys to get in the ring with Gennady. And right now, there's not really a fight that makes sense at 168. That you know, DeGale's supposedly fighting Jack, and then I don't even know the other champion. Oh, and then Ramirez, Zerto Ramirez. Bob told me that Ramirez would be interested in fighting Gennady next year. So that, in my opinion, is probably the most likely fight to happen at 168. He's a great champion, 168-pounder from Mexico. He's undefeated. He had a great win over Arthur Abraham. So if that fight could happen, that would be a very interesting fight on both sides. So I think that might be the most likely at this time. But, you know, look, Gennady has his hands full with Kell Brook. It's my job to look forward and try to make these fights. But I know Gennady 100% is going to be focused on September 10th with Kell Brook, and so is Abel. Then the WBA, looks like they'll order, Danny Jacobs is fighting Sergio Mora September 9th, which is one day before. So that mandatory is due. So it looks like they'll order Danny Jacobs to fight Gennady. So we'll see how that goes. But Gennady's never, you know, want to emphasize, he's never shied away from a mandatory challenge. If he's ordered, he's so focused on having the titles and keeping them. Unlike a lot of fighters who tried to get out of their mandatory obligations, he was a mandatory for Felix Sturm for 2 years. And Sturm kept getting exceptions not to fight Gennady. So that would be a great fight. Him and Daniel Jacobs in New York would be a tremendous fight. So they're focused on September 10th. I'm always looking forward to see what else is down the road. Eddie, you know, with the success now, maybe Eubanks will come back into the picture. It looks like the pay-per-view in the UK will do very well as well. DeGale is out there. That might happen. You never know. When Carl Froch, he's working for Sky. When he stands next to Gennady and sees that he's about 4 inches taller than Gennady, maybe he'll decide to come out of retirement. You never know what will happen. But at least now it looks like with Gennady consistently selling out arenas worldwide, and with his HBO ratings consistently towards the top of the ratings, it looks like the doors are opening now for the bigger fights that he's wanted the whole time.
Next question.
Now that you're familiar with Kell's style of fighting, and you've seen him fight, what are your thoughts about any challenges that you might face in his style of fighting? He's a pretty tough fighter at that weight that he's normally fighting. So give us your thoughts about Kell Brook and the way he fights.
Yeah, he's right. I saw a fight with Sean Potter. He's a very good fighter. He's a very good fighter. And he's a very good fighter. I think, first of all, like boxing IQ. Boxing IQ a little bit different. I like more drama show. I don't know. He's ready for 160, more for middle division, because I want drama show. I want beat, like up and down. I don't know, maybe he's ready. Okay, it's a difficult fight for us. He's not ready. It's short fight. Just wait, just division. And boxing, like he's very good boxer. I like more drama.
What do you think really motivated him to take the challenge to fight you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, just no, I don't know. Right now, just I respect him. More respect him because he is ready to fight. He's ready to fight. I know so many good boxers. More name, so many great names. Like, we have a good deal with everybody. There's nobody ready now. He's ready. Maybe it's all
Mohammed, I can give you some insight, from what I understood from Eddie Hearn, is that Kell Brook wants to challenge himself. When so many people are turning down Gennady, and when he was having his own challenges, getting the big fight at welterweight, he wants to show that he's also belongs at the top of the sport of boxing. Look, if he can beat Gennady Golovkin, the most feared middleweight in the world, I mean that would elevate Kell Brook's career to the top of the sport of boxing. So in one night, everything that Gennady's worked for, all the belts he's trying to accumulate, and then if Kell Brook can win that fight, he's at the top of the sport of boxing. So that's his motivation, is that when he couldn't, he was frustrated as well, just like we were frustrated. When you were asking, when Abel was asked about what was he surprised, I think we were all frustrated when we were going down the list of middleweights, and and we couldn't close the deal, and then Kell Brook pretty much stepped up and saved the day, and it's been a huge response in England and also internationally. This will be one of the most talked about international boxing events of the year.
Next question.
Hi, gentlemen. Abel, you've prepped Gennady for fights across the Atlantic before in Monaco. How is your schedule going to be similar or different now going to England? When are you going to travel and what are your plans in general?
It's going to be a little different. When we were going to Monte Carlo, we left on either Sunday night or Monday morning. This time Tom wanted us to leave a little earlier to have a little more time to be in London and to do some interviews and stuff like that. So we're leaving on Saturday afternoon, and we'll leave at 1 o'clock or something like that. And we'll be there until Sunday, or even longer, but Sunday is next week.
So a week prior.
Yeah.
Gennady, is that a good, comfortable time for you to go?
Yeah, for me, it's for me, it's close, late, like 6 and 6. It's far away.
Anytime, any platform.
Like different journey, like that.
Next question. Abram?
England, what were the words, one word that came to your mind when you heard Canelo won fight?
That will not fight.
What was the first word that came to your mind?
Actually, it was 3 words. I told you, Tom. I've been saying this. He's not going to fight us. He's not going to fight us, and I hope that I'm wrong, but I don't see him fighting in 2017 either. It's up to you guys. They've been forcing him, and have been talking to him consistently. There was a fight in Rosarito, I think, this weekend when Margarito fought one of Canelo's brothers, and there's a video on YouTube where some fan is heckling him, asking him about Golovkin. I hope that keeps happening, because if he hadn't said nothing, I would have given him a pass, and you guys probably would have given him a pass. But all the smack that he talked, he's got to back that up, or he's not Mexican.
Do you think that there could have been big apprehensions in Golden Boy to allow him to fight and lose, and he won't have no marquee fighters? Do you think that could have played into the decision to hold off on fighting this guy?
You know, it's hard to say, Mohammed. You know, that's really a question for Golden Boy and Canelo. We obviously have a very good relationship with Golden Boy. We did the co-promotion together when David Lemieux fought Gennady and sold out Madison Square Garden. I think, honestly, there's apprehension on a lot of people's minds, not just Canelo, to get in the ring. And look, if you move down to 154, you know, what can you do? It's even though it was mandated to fight, you can't force people to get in the ring. So I have had discussions with Oscar and with Eric Gomez, and I truly believe, Abel might not believe it, but I'd like to believe that the fight will happen next year, and most likely in September of 2017. That's what they'd like to shoot for. You know, it's the biggest fight in the sport of boxing, so if you can make it, great. If not, Gennady's just going to keep moving on, keep fighting the best guys that'll get in the ring with him, and you see where his career has come over the last 4 years since his HBO debut, September of 2012, and now he's one of the most talked about, you know, highest ticket selling, highest TV rated fighters, sponsorships, you know, his Jordan brand. It really, the sponsors he has from Kazakhstan, Bijan on Rodeo Drive is a sponsor, so it's he's doing very unusual things that you don't see many boxers do, just because of his character outside the ring and his style inside the ring. It just makes him a fan favorite, and also makes him a favorite for TV companies, for the fans, and for sponsors.
Go ahead, Michael.
Hey guys, this is a question for the whole team. Good to see you guys. Thanks for having me. I just wanted you to talk about the reaction to how you've been received over in the UK, because I think when this fight was first announced, everybody thought it was going to be a very pro-Brook crowd at the O2 Arena, but I write for Boxing Monthly, a British magazine, and for a lot of people have been telling me there's a big Triple G contingent over there already, and it might be a pro Triple G house come September 10th. So how have you been received over there?
Maybe I'll start on that, is Gennady went to a soccer game at West Ham. That was actually the first time he's ever been to the UK. It actually surprised me. With as many amateur fights as he's had, he's never actually fought or been to the UK. And we've had so many requests for him to come over and make an appearance or to fight a UK fighter that he's really a fan favorite in England. And when he was there at the soccer game, you know, people were, I wouldn't say chasing him, but they were definitely following him everywhere to try to get his autograph. We had to go to different hotels because they thought we were staying in one hotel, so they would like stand there and then we would like drive around to a different hotel. I mean, it's just been, you gotta appreciate the passion for the UK fans and the reception that we all received in the UK was it was very warm. The fans are excited to see him live. What I can say, Michael, is that, look, Gennady's from Kazakhstan. He lived in Germany a number of years when he fought in Germany. Then he made his American debut and his HBO debut in New York. What really kind of hit home for me, that his style transcends any demographic, any nationality. It just hits home to the boxing fans, is when he fought Marco Antonio Rubio at the StubHub Center. He broke all the attendance records of all the great fighters that have ever fought at the StubHub Center. We had to add bleachers, we had to add standing room only seats. And it was definitely a large Hispanic crowd, and you saw the Mexican fans chanting for Gennady. I mean, that not against, but in support of Gennady, when you had Rubio, who was very well known in Mexico. So that kind of showed me he transcends, you know, any country that we'll go to, where he's become a fan favorite. So I wouldn't be surprised, as you say, that if it's not a pro Gennady crowd, at least it would be about 50-50 with Brook. But look, Brook is very popular in the UK. He has a lot of respect from the UK fans, what he's accomplished. You know, he's not afraid to fight anywhere either. He came over here, he fought at the StubHub Center when he beat Sean Porter, so he's not afraid to travel. So I think it's just a great matchup. I can let Abel also talk about the reception in the UK.
I've been there probably 4 or 5 times for fights, and every time they've been very receptive of a good fight. Given Gennady's personality outside the ring and his personality inside the ring, I compare the English fans to the Latin fans, the Mexican fans. They're very fanatical. They're very demanding of their heroes, they're demanding of their boxers. And once there's a great fight, they're going to cheer for the guy that's doing what they want to see. I'm sure at the beginning it'll be pro Brook, but I think once the fight starts and once they see Gennady do what he does best in the ring, I think it'll be just a thank you in the type of reception and the type of adulation that they're going to give Gennady, because he's the kind of fighter that they wish, just like the Mexicans, that they wish we had that were Mexican. He's a Kazakh, but I think, like Tom said, he transcends those barriers, and his style of fighting is something that I think all fight fans want to see.
Question, please.
No, we're getting ready to do I don't know if you guys are familiar with that DNA test that you spit into that little cup and you send it off and you come back and they give you.
My family did that,
Oh, you
yeah.
did that? Okay.
It's always interesting.
We're going to be doing it for him, and he thinks he's half Mexican.
There you go.
Go ahead, Jane.
I have 2 questions. Abel, I wanted to ask you first, going back to Kell Brook's weight, being that he's so much bigger than Gennady, what is your impression of that as a trainer? Does that tell you that he's a little lazier? We hear that term, big welterweight, big whatever weight, thrown around a lot. Does that say to you as a trainer, he's a little lazy in the off season, and that's why he's so heavy? Because it must take a lot to get down to 147 every time he fights. Or is that telling you he really feels he has to pack on a ton of muscle to fight against Gennady in September?
No, that tells me that there's 4 organizations with 17 weight divisions and 68 world champions that are current. That means there's 68 geniuses out there, coaches who think their way is the only way. The Ingles have a historic gym. The old man is a sage, just considered there like Emmanuel was here. So I think that they're thinking that that's the way to do it. If he wins, who's to challenge him? If he loses, well, he was just too small, they would say. But that is just their thinking of how this needs to get done. I have my own way, and like I said, there's 68 guys that think their way is the only way. So there's a lot of thought to that. There's a lot of thought that they're putting into it, and I'm sure that that wasn't by surprise. I'm sure that they were checking his weight. He's right at 76. If he was 72 or 71, that'd be a different story. But at 76, that means that they were planning that.
And then for Gennady, what's something that you think Kell Brook does well?
Yeah, he's champion, and I don't know. For me, just interest. Doesn't matter division 161. He right now he's 176. It's not problem. For me, very interesting. Kell Brook, and it's me. You know, just who is Kell Brook, who I am, like that. You know, who is true champion. Well, actually, not interested for me. Not interested like 154, 170, 170, 180. Like, I know Kell Brook, I know him.
Francisco, go ahead, please.
With your goal's been to unite all the world titles, which is respectful, but you've had fighters like Canelo and BJ they've talked more than, what you want to bring to the table to, sign the contracts. Does that frustrate you? Does that, does that bring humor to you? How do you respond, or how do you react to, the fighters that talk more after a fight gets made, like with Kell Brook?
It's not what?
Frustrate you, humor you?
I don't feel, no. I don't feel, no.
He respects the fighters most that sign the contract.
Yeah, I know.
That's an easy way to answer.
I want box. I love boxing. I understand. Not Kell Brook. Who? This is serious. This is very hard for us. Who next? I won't fight. Okay. Just maybe one fight per year. It's not serious. Just okay. I go into 168. With who? Stop. I go into 154 because I'm not big. Not big. Okay. With who? Too much business. I love sport. Too much business. Too much.
Next, go ahead. Go ahead, Kelly.
Just in terms of with how difficult it's been to get fights in Kell Brook, is that one of the things that factored into it being London? Or is it like, was there any question, or how did that come to pass?
Well, when we had the lengthy negotiation with Eddie Hearn for the Eubank fight, he had reserved the O2 Arena, he had the date on Sky Box Office, we had the date with HBO, so everything was in place. We could have come back over here, we had the HBO date, Gennady could have fought back here in the States on September 10th, but my goal always, which Gennady and Abel and Oleg and Max Herman, his managers, also agree with, is his priority is to fight here in the States, but we wanted to keep an international presence for him. He fought in Monte Carlo, is always well documented. He fought there 3 times. He's a fan favorite of Prince Albert, and when he walks through the streets of Monte Carlo, so that's a little bit unusual thing also to see. But this fit in well. He fought in April, sold out the Forum, and so when the opportunity came up to fight in the UK, at first it was Billy Joe Saunders because the priority was to unify the titles. Billy Joe informed Frank Warren he would rather fight in the UK than fight over here in the States, and that's what, okay, we'll go over there and try to unify all the titles. That didn't go very far, as I mentioned, and that's when Eddie Hearn got involved with the Eubank negotiations, and that's really how it came about for England specifically, but it also plays into the international presence that we always want to keep for Gennady.
If I can add one thing to that, for Gennady, like Terrence Crawford and some other fighters, they've brought big fights to their hometowns. Do you see, is that like a goal of yours to bring a fight, like a major fight to Kazakhstan?
maybe I won't bring big show to Kazakhstan because next year for Kazakhstan like Expo 2017 in Kazakhstan. So I think very interesting, very interesting. And my goal is staying in the United States. I live in the last 5 years living in California, just this is my second home. Look, I live in California, just I'm going to Kazakhstan. Okay, of course everybody like me, like I love it. Oh gee, thank you. Show, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's good. Now I know it's people not respect for my opponent because because I'm from Kazakhstan. Same situation in the United States. Who, tell me please, just who, like big star in the United States won't fight every time, every day, doesn't matter with who. Nobody. I come to the United States for what? For fight. Just, I won't bring to the United States, big show. Kazakhstan is Kazakhstan, this is my home, this is
So it's more about the future, the future's here.
Maybe.
Just, I can expand on that a little bit, because Gennady is always very modest, as we've all come to realize. But if you can imagine the anticipation for the UK fans, imagine the fans in Kazakhstan that want to see him come home and fight. And as I mentioned, some of the sponsors he's involved with, the World Expo is next year. World Expo 2017 is a major sponsor for Gennady, and that starts in June of next year, and there's a 38,000 seat soccer stadium that's waiting, that they're begging him to come back to fight there. So if everything works out, obviously September 10th is priority, but that could definitely be a fight for next year. HBO had sent a crew over when he was just over in Kazakhstan a couple months ago to do somewhat of a documentary showing him in his first boxing gym with his first boxing coach, and the neighborhood that he grew up at, and the school that he went to, the elementary school. And you can imagine the surprise on the children's faces when he was surprisingly walked into the school, and the teachers knew, but the children didn't know, and they were almost in tears when they saw their national hero walking into their school, coming back to his roots. And that's really kind of the emotional side of him coming home. The business side of it was he wanted to make the priority the United States, because he felt it was the highest level of boxing. Was Sergio Martinez was a middleweight champion at the time. Peter Quillen was a middleweight champion. So if he wanted to show who's the best, he had to come over here. We got the exposure on HBO, and he wanted to prove against the best fighters in the world that he was the best, and that's the only way that he could do that, was to fighting over here. Now, KELL BROOK is a great opportunity to go to the UK, but it would be a special event when he goes back to Kazakhstan.
Tell me, we're going to do that video.
Yeah, we could do that. If we could do the one-on-one video interviews now for all the people. All of us would be available for the.